Welcome back to another episode of Motivate with Coach Camp. I, of course, am your host, Coach Camp, and we're down here in the brand new, illustrious, fancy studios of SRP with Mr. Derek Show. Hey, this week, man, I've got some more fire coming to you. You know, I like to mix it up on my show. I like to bring in different guests, different backgrounds, have different stories, and that keeps it lively. And I know that not every story is for every person. That's why I like to bring in a lot of different individuals from all walks of life. Well, this week is somebody that is in line with me, y'all. I'm telling you, whenever I'm saying fire, energy, excitement, motivation, positive mindset, that's who we have here today with us in our studio, and that is Mr. Marcus Black. Actually was connected to him through several friends that saw his posts where he was saying that he wanted to connect with the community again. He was from Hernando, moved away, came back, and now he is looking to continue that mission of positivity. And I said, you know, it's like this, bro. Birds of a feather, they flock together. Let me bring in my new friend, my new brother. That's what we've done. So he's in studio today. You're going to hear an amazing story of his life. You're going to hear all about what got him to the place that he is today. And I know that you guys are going to be blessed by this entire episode. But you know what? You know my thing, man. I love my people. I love my sponsors. You guys are what helps make this thing happen. So I'm just going to ask you, stick around for a second. Let's hear from our awesome, amazing sponsors. All right, everybody, I want to take a quick second and thank all of my sponsors out there. Thank you guys so much for doing what you do for me. SRP Studios, the Rhythm Section Podcast, Hardwick Heating, Cooling, and Air Quality, Hodge Homes with Mr. Brad Hodge, Adair Honey Farms, Miss Hippie Eats, Phones Are Us, Tennessee First Responders Foundation, the Hope Center of Northwest Mississippi, and Stacy Dodd Intervention. Thank you guys. I couldn't do this without you. Please continue to support the podcast. Thank you, guys. Welcome back. And here we are with Mr. Marcus Black. Welcome to the studio, sir.
Yo. What up, family? This is the best way I can do it. I got to match energy, man. It's rare to find another human being that kind of has that kind of heart, that drive, that zeal, that passion, that tenacity, all the things. But anyway, you guys better adjust your dials, whatever you need to do. I feel like fire is being created today.
My goodness, buddy. Sticks rubbing together quick, baby. Let's go, Marcus. So, Marcus, look, here's the thing, man. When I came across your story, people sent me your stuff. I started looking up some of the things you do. I see that you do positive messages. You've written books. You speak on stages. I'm like, this guy right here, man, that's my heart. See, sometimes it's easy to feel like you're just this unicorn in the world and nobody else is seeing things that way. And then you come across someone else and you're like, there it is. You got a great beard, man. Right now, your beard is in full flux. So I love that thing. So, Marcus, let's start by just sharing a little bit about where you're from and kind of what got you down this path.
Absolutely. Born in Memphis. So I was born in Baptist East Hospital in Memphis and then raised right here in Hernando. My mom's family is from Hernando. So it literally was a part of me for as long as I can remember. And if you ask anyone from Hernando who knows me, who knew me before I moved away, I would be the least likely person they would have ever dreamed, thought, imagined would be doing the things that I'm doing. I was the wallflower. I was the quietest person.
Really?
Always had leadership characteristics, potential, but a very silent leader, leading by action rather than words. And so people are like, I am blown away. I can't believe you're the guy that's doing the thing.
Interesting.
So yeah, I grew up here doing that. Wasn't really into it. I mean, really deeply rooted into church here in the community. Spent a lot of time there when I was in football and for Hernando representing the Tigers.
There you go.
So, when I wasn't doing sports, track, football, powerlifting, all the things, then I was at church and I was really quiet, trying to find myself. I went through some struggles as a kid. There was some things that my father was wrestling with that caused him to not be the greatest example. And because of that, it put me in a position to be really seeking. Well, what is life really about? What is it for? What's the meaning? What do I matter? Does what I say matter? Does anybody care? And I'm wrestling with these things that if you're like me, you understand, you probably have wrestled with some of these things your own self.
Sure.
But it all changed in 2004 in a car, a Ford, coming down.
How old were you?
I was 18 years of age.
So had you graduated high school?
No, it was actually the week of my senior night. We were playing against Oxford High School. And it was that Sunday night before that game. Okay.
So playing football, did you play any other sports? You said powerlifting.
Yeah, I did powerlifting. I did track, lettered, and all of those here in Hernando.
So
leading up
to that point, your senior year, had life been pretty normal other than you said you had some difficulties in that with your dad that kind of led you astray at times, or maybe it was not the best life that you would have asked for, but at the same time, you're fighting through some stuff. So up to that point and where you're about to go next with your story, would you say that life had been somewhat normal, if you want to call something normal.
Yeah, if there's a semblance of normalcy,
Yeah.
you could call it that. I mean, really just
Going to school,
It was
passing.
school was fine. Yeah, I mean, C's get degrees kind of guy. Well, didn't excel
I got
at
you.
anything.
Look, I ain't gonna lie to you, y'all. That was me too in school, for real.
There wasn't. All my teachers loved me because I was soft spoken and a kind spirit.
I got you.
I wasn't a troublemaker, but because of the turmoil and the chaos at home, I could not excel at school. There wasn't a lot of structure. There was a lot of difficulties that I faced, and really the biggest thing was just questioning if I was of any value.
Okay, that's kind of where I was going, was just kind of getting the idea of mindset of what Marcus was as a kid leading up to that point. So there's a lot of things that take place and transpire. Look, from 9th grade to 10th grade, a person can go through a metamorphosis. So whenever you're going all the way through school up to this point, do you have brothers or sisters?
Two brothers.
Were they older or younger?
They're younger. I'm the oldest.
Oh, okay. Well, so then you were in charge of that at least. So I got to be honest with you guys. And if you're the youngest, you got away with everything from your parents, but sometimes you also caught the wrath of your siblings, depending on, what kind of dynamic there was there. So then growing up, you see this not great example of a father, you say, and then at the same time, you're excelling at football. You're an older brother, so you realize that your younger siblings are looking up to you, whether or not you realize it at that time. To be honest with you, they were. That's what happens. And then this night happens.
Yeah.
So let's move the story there, because that's going to transition to so much more about who you become next.
Yeah.
And you were a soft-spoken soul, you said. So maybe this all changed for that reason as well.
Yeah.
So talk about that.
Yeah, man. So literally, we were coming down from Battle of the Bands in Memphis, Tennessee. The group from my church, young adults and teenagers. And we were riding the church van, but there were some little kids who wanted to go who weren't able to get on the church vans. So my older friends and I said, you know what, we'll drive so they can ride. We don't want anybody to be left out.
Yeah.
We hop in the car. We go have a great time. It's a wonderful time, but we're on the way back. We're on the way back about halfway between Memphis and Hernando, traveling south on 55, and I'll never forget, I was dozing off, which is okay because I'm not driving. My friend's driving. I'm dozing off. It's good sleep. It's like everything smooth, easy listening music. And next thing you know, I'll never forget, I heard a boom, like this massive explosion. And I'm like, okay. I don't think that's a sound you want to hear when you're traveling in a car.
No, it's going to wake you up for sure.
So I startled out of my sleep, and I looked at my friend and said, what was that? What happened? He said, I don't know what that was. I mean, what do you mean don't know? Like, what did the car explode? We don't know. I'm like, what just happened? Next thing I know, the car starts fishtailing back and forth, whoosh, whoosh, and then we fly off the highway, 75 miles per hour, near, like just close to a bridge. And if you guys are especially local around here, you know that our highways are elevated and then the medians drop down. And so we went down about 25 feet-ish down, and we're knocking down trees, like 6 trees smacking me in the face, glass smacking me in the face. It was like the fastest, slowest moment of my life before another massive boom. And the second boom, it got really quiet. And I got really afraid. Because in that moment, I was thinking like, my greatest fear was about to come to pass, which is that I was about to die without having ever lived.
Yeah.
So much of my life, I was walking on eggshells. I was so afraid because of the dynamics in my home. And not even painting a picture of my dad as a monster. He wasn't that. He was just struggling with his own identity and figured poverty was a cycle, and then gambling's became an addiction, alcohol became an addiction. He's trying to fill a void in his heart. It was a God-sized void, because my mom was always dragging me and my brothers to church, but he didn't want no parts of that.
Yeah.
So that hole was in his heart, and he tried to fill it as best he can with everything the world offers, and all it did was create turmoil, destruction. So all that did for me, I learned as a kid to not ever be comfortable in my skin, to never be confident, never have my head up, never think too much, and just kind of always walking on eggshells. So I didn't do anything. I didn't take any risk. I wasn't outside. Outside of my sports world, I didn't do anything that would resemble living or a kid. And then in that moment, I'm like, it's over now.
So you are immediately reflecting. People talk about when you have a near-death experience, how your life will flash before you. And so in that moment, what is interesting to me is you had a moment of reflection that you haven't even had a chance at life yet. And another thing that you mentioned too, which I find interesting, I say this all the time, I'm not afraid of dying. I'm afraid of having not lived the life I was supposed to. And so I'm always grinding towards that. My years are more impactful if I'm trying to be intentional about my actions. I wouldn't want to live to be 120 years old and then never have done anything with the opportunity that I had. So it's so important that I stay in tune with that. If I only live another 5 minutes, as an example, I want to know that God put me on the path I was supposed to be on, and I was fulfilling that prophecy, whatever that was. So here it is for you. You end up regressing in your early age because of some of the tumultuous lifestyle that you had to be around, which I find interesting too, because that could go either way.
Yeah.
I hear of kids that come out of those type of backgrounds, and it's anger and it's aggression, and they make really bad choices for themselves, whether it's drugs, alcohol, you name it. And here it is. It was having an opposite effect, but almost on the full opposite end of the spectrum, where you had regressed into yourself.
I did.
So how many people were in the car with you that night when you had the wreck?
4. I mean, it's 3 others and myself.
Yeah, so 4 total in the vehicle. What kind of car was it? I'm just asking if you...
It was a Ford. I don't remember. It wasn't a Mustang, but it was a sport car.
Okay. And so when you guys go off the road and it comes to an end, in that moment, how much memory do you have of what's going on with you?
Everything.
Okay.
I remember. I will never forget that moment. You know, I'm sitting there afraid to open my eyes because I'm afraid of what I'm going to see. Because when your adrenaline's up, you don't, my body could be in half and I don't know it. So I was afraid to open my eyes. That's the first thing I remember is hearing fear. And finally, I got the courage to open my eyes, and I looked at my friend who was driving. I didn't even look at myself. I looked at him and asked, was he okay? And he was just shaking, and he was afraid. And then I looked at his brother behind him, and he was just rocking back and forth, and he was saying, "Thank you, Jesus," just repeating that again and again. Yeah. So he was okay. And then I looked at best I could my friend who was behind me, and he was hyperventilating. He had no breath. He was trying to catch his breath. And then, then I'm starting to become aware. So I look down, my legs and my body is intact, but there's a tree in the car with us. Like the car is crushed like an accordion. So we are in a ball. Wow. All on top of each other. That massive tree went through the trunk and just squashed us. So now we got to get out. But we're pinned between trees, so we can't get out the front. The other side is inaccessible because it's surrounded by trees. There's a tree in the trunk. So now I smell gas, and maybe I'll just watch way too many movies.
Yeah, you're thinking it's going to blow up. Well, I mean, it's a logical feeling. It's a logical thing.
I smell gas and I would have thought
smoke. The same thing. Yeah.
So I'm like, we got to get out of this car.
Yeah.
And we couldn't get out of the car. The doors had been jammed, and the locks were stuck, and the door wouldn't come open. So, you hear these stories about these little moms lifting cars off of babies in those moments.
Yeah.
We had a moment like that. And my friends laugh about it today. I don't know how funny it was in that moment, but I literally had a Hulk moment and took the door off the hinges.
Wow.
And that's how we all escaped out of that door. And now we're climbing up the side of I-55 to get to the highway, just what just happened. But my one friend, he still couldn't breathe. And he said, just leave me. And I'm thinking the car is going to explode. We're not leaving you there. So we kind of grab him and we carry him up and then lay him down. And about that time, a huge F-150 was pulling up right beside us.
And so whenever this happened, the bus with all the other people on it that was in Memphis with you guys, I take it they didn't know that this had taken place.
No
with you
idea.
guys.
They were already back at the church. The kids getting picked up, getting ready to go home.
Yeah, and so you guys had cell phones at this time, right? See, I come from a time where cell phones wasn't a thing. Believe it or not, folks, I know I'm kind of old.
I don't know that we did. This was 2004, so the bricks were just kind of becoming normalized, but it was 50 cents.
That's kind of why I was asking, because you have the flip phones and the slides and all that stuff back then. iPhones weren't really a thing yet.
No.
So
I think we did have a phone. Yeah, we did have phones.
So then the F-150 pulls up. Obviously, they call an ambulance, fire truck, all that stuff.
Guess what? This is why you can't tell me there's not a God.
Yeah.
He was a doctor coming home from his shift from Baptist DeSoto.
Wow.
So not only had he already alerted the authorities, he had everything. He just happened to be on his way home, had a stethoscope. He did full checkups before they ever even arrived.
How about that?
And then, of course, we're young people. So the officers come and they're like, well, what were you doing? And they're grilling us and were you speeding? And we're telling them no, but they didn't really believe what we had to say. But the doctor said, no, I was behind them the whole way. We didn't even know what happened. We just knew the car exploded.
So obviously you must have had a blowout.
A blowout.
Yeah.
Yep. He said they had a blowout, and then he saw us go down, and he's like, oh, no. And he just happened to be right there. So that was a total God thing. Yeah.
And so did you or the other 3 have injuries?
No serious injuries. The one friend who couldn't breathe had a bruised sternum.
Okay.
And
wow. And that car obviously was flying. So you hit these, you're going down the interstate. So you're not doing 40 miles an hour.
75.
And you hit trees.
Yes.
You're right. So this was a miracle moment.
Yes.
All right. So now let's take it from this point. So you obviously are recognizing that this could have ended very differently.
100%.
And you even articulated the fact that how it slowed down, but it happened so quick. And so your mind was processing this stuff, and you're afraid that you're going to open your eyes and there's no telling what kind of horrors you're about to see. But then everybody seems to be okay. You break out of this thing, you get away from the car. Talk about the next coming days, because I can tell you, I don't know if you knew this about me, you probably didn't. I'm a retired firefighter paramedic from Memphis.
Okay.
And so many of these stories have come to me over the years, and it took a couple of days for it to really sink in. The seriousness of that moment, how life could be very different for them, and they are blessed, and now they don't want to waste that thing anymore.
Yeah.
So talk about how that transpired.
Yeah, that took more than a couple of days for me.
Okay.
That took a couple of years.
Okay.
So coming out of that car, I'm still a kid, and football is my passion. Now, my shoulder was jacked, and so was my neck. Now, not so much that anything was broken, but I did have some structural damage, which actually cost me football in the long run. But I didn't go to the doctor.
Yeah.
I went to Hernando High School. My coach let me sit out practice for a couple of days, and then I played senior night Friday night.
Wow.
On one shoulder, and a guy from Oxford saw that I was favoring it, and he decided all night to make me pay for it. So, yeah, that wasn't fun. But other than that, I went on this journey of just wrestling with God after that. I just went I had the world's biggest pity party for that lasted a couple of years. Like, why me? Why me? One thing I didn't tell you, one of my closest friends, also from Hernando, passed away like a year and a half before my accident in a car going half the speed on Robinson Gym Road.
Oh.
And we were having a football cookout. I was supposed to be with him. I said, I need to run home. I'll meet you there. And then 30 minutes later, they're calling and telling me he passed away. I'm like, no, I just saw him. And they're like, no, he did. And I'm like, no, he didn't. And he did. Because his car lost control, went off the road on Robinson Gym going literally half the speed. We were hit the tree, and the tree pinned the steering wheel under his sternum, and he was trapped. And they came and cut him out. And as soon as they cut him out, once everything got released, he didn't make it to the hospital. So that was that caused me again, like, okay, why am I here? Why is he not here? Why do I get a chance and why didn't he get a chance? Then I'm just continuing on that train of thought.
A version of survivor's guilt.
Yeah, that.
In a different type of mindset, obviously.
Yeah. And then, like, why do some of my classmates that live 2 blocks away from me who aren't even old enough to drive have custom cars, and we don't have one car because the guy repossessed? Why? Why are there days we don't have food and they throw away more food than we had to all eat today? Why? Why did I have to go into this situation? And I'm just asking. I'm just wrestling with God. Now I'm angry because I'm like, and now the one outlet I had, football, now that's gone. So now, like, why? So I'm just like going down this path. And it was like 2 years later, just before my 21st birthday, I had the epiphany. That's when the revelation came.
Tell me about it.
And the revelation was, you're never going to get an answer to that question. And it was because I had been asking the wrong question the entire time.
Interesting. What brought about that epiphany?
I don't know. I was just away from home, and my mom was still here struggling with my brothers, and I was off in college and feeling bad because I was struggling. She's trying to figure out how to rustle up money to send me, and I'm like, you got enough going on. Yeah. Like, so I'm just wrestling with all of that, and I literally was just warring. They were getting ready to throw a birthday party for me, and I'm outside crying because I'm just like wrestling. And in that prayer time, it's like God hit me. I don't know where it came from, but I just know it was intentional time. Yeah. And what I gathered was, you're not gonna get the answer. Asking the wrong question. The question was never why me. It was always what for.
Yes. Yes.
And yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm just making sure that I get all these pieces to how the story came together, because what you're explaining, what you're describing, not everybody has had a car wreck like that or had some of the other background problems that you had to deal with growing up, but what everybody can relate to. And this is the part of where I love the Motivate show, because it doesn't matter who sits across from me and what their story is. There's so many co-relatable moments that people can blend to their own lives. And what I'm picking up is something that is very common, and I've done it, and everybody I think out there probably has done it. I could say that with some confidence. And that is, instead of seeing the opportunity before you with the problems and the tribulations you've been through, it's easy to sink into the victimhood idea, the perspective of what is going on. Why is this happening to me? It's not fair. Life's not fair. Why is this taking place? I haven't done anything to deserve these things. But instead, when we change our mindset to suddenly, why did you choose me, God? What is it you're trying to teach me? What direction is it you want me to go? What impact have you prepared me for other people's lives? Because this isn't about me. This is about other people. And I recognize that now. It takes that moment of calmness and quietness and reflection for it to come to us. And it doesn't always happen for everybody, unfortunately. That's why they resort to, and I'm saying this with absolute confidence, they resort to drugs, they resort to alcohol, they resort to other vices because they're trying to fill a void in their life that they can't understand why they're having it, but they haven't asked the right question. And sir, that's why I love hearing the background to where you've come from and the moment that it at least changed the direction of where you were going.
Changed everything.
Because if you had stayed on that path, where do you think Marcus would be right now?
Who knows?
Probably not in a great spot.
Nah.
It's easy to assume such, right?
100%.
So think about that for everyone out there. Whenever you are in the pits, when you're in the trenches, if you will, of life, stop thinking to yourself that it's not fair and why is this happening to you? Ask, what is it that you're supposed to learn from it? What is it you're supposed to do? How do you move forward? And how do you make yourself not just a better person, but everybody around you a better person? So then when this epiphany happens and it comes to you that, hey, look, Marcus, this has never been against you. This has been for you. How do you take that message and move forward?
So I made a promise to God. Listen, I don't know why you chose me and why you kept me and why so many others are no longer here, but you did. And so that part isn't for me to understand. But because you did, my promise to you is I'll spend the rest of my days pouring myself out and serving all of everybody I come into contact with. That was a promise I made, and it was a promise I intended to keep. Then it became a matter of figuring out how to do that. I didn't know how to do that. And so I told you it was 2 years instead of a couple of days. And even this next season was closer to 10 years of me trying to figure out how to do that. Because I want people to understand. So many people feel like my time is passing me by. Well, that time's come and gone for me. You know, it's easy for you to say you're a young man, but, you know, I don't have forever or I waited too long. There's no such thing as waited too long.
If you got breath, you've got opportunity.
If you woke up in time and not out of time, it's another opportunity for you to make good on the time that you've been given. Yes. So that's where I tell people, from there, I'm about 20 headed to 21. It wasn't until I was 30 that I really got it and figured out this is what I'm supposed to do. So all that time was spent finishing college, which took me extended years because of the struggles and the not having like different disciplines and all the things coming to a head. Then I get out of college and then trying to find a job and the market was crazy and that was like crashes and everything was happening. So now I'm working temporary jobs, killing it, doing it great, but then it's temporary. So, you know, Oklahoma, where I was living, is oil and gas industry. So it's weird. When everybody else is tanking economies, they're good because typically that's when the oil barrel's going up. But when everybody else is doing good and the oil barrel goes down, you know, that what they can make.
The yin and yang of life.
Yeah, for sure. We had some of that, and I was working for an oil and gas company, and then they wound up cutting, I want to say like 13,000 people, but I was in the first 500 because I was a temporary. So there's no questions asked. It was coming to an office. Hey guys, thank you so much for your services. Next week is your last day, and that's it.
Wow.
So then I stumble out of that, and I'm a newlywed, and I'm trying to figure out how to be a provider, how to be a husband, how to be, you know, a great example for my kids who are to come. Now have 2 sons, and they're being born, and it's just so much. I say that 10 years was me being in the wilderness. If you know anything about the wilderness, it's scary in the wilderness. You know, it's dangerous in the wilderness. It's treacherous in the wilderness, but what I didn't realize was happening in the wilderness was that God put me there because he was preparing me for something to come that I didn't even know. See, in the wilderness, I gained some tools in my tool belt that I didn't know I was going to be able to need earlier. You know, I learned some skills. I learned how to hunt, fish, and gather in the wilderness. There's things that happened in the wilderness that equipped me to now travel everywhere all over the world and be able to inspire people and move people into their purpose. But I would not be able to connect with them had I not been in the wilderness because so many people are there. So if you're there right now, and you're listening to my voice, hopefully you gain hope from this conversation to know that things can change. No season lasts forever. Even if your season lasts longer than a couple months.
That's right.
Eventually, if you keep going, if you don't get tired or grow weary doing good, then you'll reap the benefit, the fruit of your labor. The harvest is coming. You just got to not give up.
That's the thing. You got to keep stepping. Look, so many times in a person's life, they will get to a point where they feel like that there's no hope for tomorrow. There's no sense in continuing the path, that nothing ever seems to work out. But man, it takes that right there. It takes that recognition that what you're going through should not be wasted, that whatever those problems are that you're facing right now will not last forever. You have to take one more step. And so many times in my life, I can use my marathoning. I run marathons. And that's one of the things I go back to is, man, I can think about so many races that I was in and it made all the sense in the world to quit, but I didn't. And I grew from it. No one else grew from it. No one's going to feel the detriment or going to be able to benefit from the problems that you face more than you will. Now, there are plenty of people in your corner pulling for you. Don't get me wrong. It would affect your family. It would affect your kids. It would affect all these things if you quit on you. But I got news for you. There is a gift there for you that you're going to have if you keep going. And now you're getting to use that, sir. And so those 10 years, you're right. That's a great analogy. You were in the wilderness. And look, man, it can feel dark. It can feel disoriented, like you don't know what direction to go and how you're ever going to get out and what it's going to look like if you do get out, but you kept going, sir. And that was important. So when you come out the other side, and I know we're about to talk about one of your books here because Asleep at the Wheel plays into the injury and the moment where the accident took place. You come out that other side of things 10 years later. What happens with Marcus then?
Man, yeah, I almost died a bunch of times. So Asleep at the Wheel is a whole other story where I fell asleep at the wheel on the highway.
Oh, so this is a different time.
Both stories are in that book. So
okay.
There's all these things, and I'm just learning so much along the way. You know, God has given it to me, but even with that, I always share and showcase the journey because there is no one straight path to success. Like sometimes you got to go up, down, and all around, and that's okay if you find yourself there. So, you know, finally, 10 years, I'm coming out the other end, and I'm working for a tech company as a supervisor, and I start attending this church. It's a massive church. Matter of fact, at the time, it was like the 4th fastest growing church in all of America.
Is this in Oklahoma City?
Yeah, in Oklahoma City. And so they were hiring me to be director of discipleship, and I'm like, cool, I get to help people. That's great. I get to go work with people, help people. That's a promise I made to God. I'm gonna help people. And the next day after they hire me, they bring me into a room and they're like, okay, here's your script. You know, you're gonna teach. This is your stage time. And I said, whoa, wait a minute. Hold on. What'd you say? Mm-hmm. They said, no, stage. Like, we got to get you equipped and ready for the stage. And I said, no, that wasn't. I didn't sign up for the stage.
All the way up to this point, you're still kind of quiet Marcus, right? You're shy Marcus.
I am.
They forcing you into something. All right, I love it. Keep going. I love it.
I'm not gonna do that. They said, you are. I said, I can't do that. They said, you will. I said, I can't. They said, you want a job? Ha. Well, I guess you got me there. So I started reluctantly, and that's really where things began to shift. And I struggled with that because my insecurities came mounting to a head. Like, what if I say the wrong thing? What if I stumble over my words? What if it's not perfect? And I'm just in my head. And so I'm teaching like hundreds of people a week, like every week, and going off this script. And I can do it well, but as long as we don't deviate and I just rush through it because it's so uncomfortable and I'm getting through it and I'm on my way. Until it was about 3 years into that process. And so this is like a big, like, building.
Every week
I'm doing that for years and still uncomfortable, still hating every moment.
That is interesting.
They put me on the main stage in front of people. But they told me they were going to do it. They did it the Sunday after Thanksgiving. They told me 2 weeks before Thanksgiving they were going to do it. My family laughs because that was the first time they never saw me get seconds at Thanksgiving dinner. Like, I didn't want to eat. No, because all I could think was I got to go back and get on that stage.
Yeah.
So I'm painting a picture because people think when they hear me now that I was born this way, that I just came out of the womb yelling on microphones and speaking in front of thousands. No, not at all. I had zero desire to do that. I failed public speaking in college.
Did you really?
I did. I can't take credit for this.
Right.
It's definitely a God thing. So I'm in class one day and I'm going through, I'm about halfway through the class and I'm just rushed. Let me get through it. And a lady said, excuse me, sir. And I act like I didn't hear her. And I kept going and she said, excuse me, sir. And I put my head down. I said, no, in my head. I can't say it out loud.
Sure.
No. And she said, I got something to say. And my brain said, no, you don't. But my mouth couldn't say that because I was Pastor Marcus.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, what's on your mind? And as soon as I asked the question, she just started ugly crying, like lips quivering, like, just hardcore. Yeah. And I was like, oh, no.
Coming from her insides deep.
My first thought was, we don't have time for this. I'm not going to ever get through this stuff. That was my first thought. But then this is where the magic happened, and this is where my life forever changed. She eventually, when she calmed down enough, she said, I don't even want to be here anymore. And I knew exactly what she meant by that. She said, I'm not worthy of any life. She said, my own family's in the next room. They don't know that I slept on the side of the street last night and that I was snorting Cracker Rock lines off the concrete.
Wow.
And they have no idea, and I'm just not worthy, and all this God talking. So she just like pouring her heart and soul out, like, I'm done, I'm tired, I'm checking out. And for the first time ever, what was on my paper suddenly didn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
And I remember leaning in and saying, look at me, I need you to hear me and hear me clear. And I pushed the book aside and I started speaking to a human. And I said, I don't care what you did last night, and neither does God. The fact that you woke up today means there's still a purpose for you and in front of you. And I just start, like, something happened that never happened before.
Clicked.
And I didn't try. I just moved myself out of the way, and it's like this big booming voice came out of me, and I was just pouring into her, and I was like yelling, and I was like out of body almost, because I'm like, I don't know what's happening, but I'm just going with it. And then at the end of it, we wrapped around some other ladies, got her information, we got her help, prayed for her. And then, like, after they walked out of the room, it hit me. And I realized that's when the light bulb went off. Like, it's not about you.
Right.
Like, every time I'm on a platform, I'm on a microphone, I'm on a stage, somebody's life is on the line. You just don't always know it.
That's true.
Somebody listening to us right now
So true.
is contemplating things that they shouldn't be, and they're going to find hope to be able to hold on. And so that's when I said, okay, stop trying to limit or squelch God. Stop getting in the way. If this is what you're supposed to do, is what you're supposed to do. And after that, I never went back. I never spoke the same again. Like, it was like instantly. It's like, even when people meet me, I'm kind of reserved. I'm kind of, like, cool. And then, like, when it's time to talk, I'm like, it's like that bulb goes off.
Clicks.
Somebody's life is on the line. And
yes, I believe totally 100% that a lot of times we will follow the path that we know God is telling us to go on, even when we are not comfortable for that moment. But it is all a part of the process, right? So I use this analogy. I'm a teacher at school, and I teach college kids, and I will tell them that a lot of times when you're doing something, you don't recognize the growth that's happening in the moment. You have to keep going. That's what you were doing, sir. You didn't understand how you were growing. You just knew you had to keep doing that thing, even though you were very uncomfortable, apparently. And it took time for that to cultivate and be the person that you were intended to be. Look, when you go to the gym, you lift weights. If you put 5 pounds on the dumbbell and you do the dumbbell, that's great for your first couple times. But if you don't continue to increase, you're never going to grow. You're never going to get better. So that's how life is. You have to have a process in place, and you got to keep going. And the moment that happened and you recognize that all of those reps is what I like to call it, all because I'm a coach. I'm a real coach, y'all. And so being a coach, you're always influencing your players to not just do it until you get it right, do it till you can't get it wrong. So you were doing those reps. And it was like that one moment that lady opened up to you, that you realized the gift God had given you was always sitting there. You just had to believe in yourself. Look, I think it's so true. You said this because being a public speaker myself, I speak in front of tons of crowds all the time, every year. I, sir, was the opposite end of the spectrum, where I never cared about who was in the audience, and I never had any inhibitions. I never have any kind of nerves about that. But what I do recognize is that everybody out there is judging you, and they have thoughts and opinions, and you have to squelch that and not pay attention to the white noise, if you will, in the background. You have to pay attention to the message in front of you. And what you just said is so true, sir, and that is your message matters more than you could ever imagine. You don't know whose life you're about to touch. You don't know what's going to change for them, and who you just saved because you shared a message that was from your heart, not from a piece of script. And that I'm not dogging on scripts. I got a script too because I want to make sure I follow the flow on this thing because I got ADD. But the point is, Marcus, is that when you speak from your heart, people don't just hear your message, they feel your message.
100%.
So in that moment, when you connect with this lady and you recognize, oh, that's what this was all about all along. The 10 years in the wilderness was building this foundation. Being on that stage for 3 consecutive years, not really feeling comfortable doing it, was building this person through the process. Now you have that aha moment, if you will. What happens for Marcus Black after that?
I just leaned all the way in. I'm not going to get in the way anymore. And people saw a different level of giftedness that was incredible. And then I had about another year, really good run after that. So more reps is what happened. But then it was Easter And, it's happy feelings in the air. There's happy people everywhere. You guys know, if you know about
it's
Easter.
Coming up right now.
Everybody's coming for Easter. So we have a huge carnival outside, extreme animals, petting zoo, all type of stuff for people to draw, for the community to come and have an opportunity to get to know Jesus. And I remember sitting in my office toward the end of that day after thousands of people had come and said, you know what, I think I want to give this Christ thing a try. Can you tell me more? So all these people were there, but I felt empty, and I felt bad for feeling, I'm like, what? Something's off. Like, I don't know what it is. So I started praying, and I'm asking God, like, okay, God, like, this is beautiful, but as beautiful as this is, there are people, millions of them, who no matter how big of a shindig we throw, no matter what the celebration looks like, they're not coming to this building.
Yeah.
They've been hurt by people, not by God, by people who represent God.
Yeah.
They have given up, maybe for whatever reason. They're not coming to this building. But do they not still need love, care, hope, teach? Like, do they not need the same messages?
Absolutely.
And it's like, yes, they do. And I'm like, yeah, God, they do. So like, then who's going to give it to them?
Yeah. And
then I felt like this, like inside of me, like, you're supposed to go and give them the message. And I'm like, no, now I'm fighting with God again. No, we have
no. I agree. This is a necessity.
Somebody needs to do it.
But I wasn't talking about me doing it.
I don't need to do it. I'm good here. We're good. And eventually I actually wrestled. Like, I had to fast, did a 3-week water fast, intense, just like, all right, God, what am I supposed to do? And I came out on the other side saying, you're supposed to go and build a platform that doesn't exist, that brings hope to a hurting world, and ultimately represents him without necessarily preaching him. And that's where I landed. Yeah. And so then I just went and just said, I don't know what that looks like. Yeah. I'm going to start a podcast. Know nothing about a podcast. So I
feel you.
Nothing. I'm like, okay. So I started it in, what year was that? 2020? So yeah, I'm going to start a podcast in 2020 or 2019. It was one of the two. So it was like around COVID times. Yeah. So I started, and I called the guy who used to be the audiovisual engineer in my church, because we worked together. I said, hey man, I want to start a podcast. Can you send me a list of things I need? He said, why? And I said, because I want to start a podcast. Can you send? He said, why? I was like, what do you mean, why? I want to start a podcast. He said, no, like, why would you go and spend all this money? I literally got all of this stuff laying in my garage. I was like, oh. He said, why don't you just come do it here? So he set up in his spare bedroom, and I went and I started the podcast there. And then I wrote a book. And I'm like, I don't know if nobody cares to listen to me ramble 30 minutes at a time, but I'm just going to do it. Yeah. I wrote the book. I'm like, I just started doing all the things to reach the people in the places. And then I started showing up on social media, and then things started escalating. And, this was, again, during COVID, and I really found success on an app that built community when people were lacking because of COVID. Mm-hmm. So I wound up rubbing shoulders and peers with like a lot of really prominent people. And they're like, who is this guy? And then doing events with them and virtual events. And then it was like, hey, can you come open here? Hey, can you come do this? Hey, can you come MC this? And then it just started going really fast. The next thing you know, I'm like, okay, God, I know I said I'm going to do it, but it started moving much faster than I felt I had the capacity to keep up. And then, the rest is history. Like, God is faithful. When you do the thing, he does the thing. He'll always meet you at your level of obedience if you do what you're supposed to do. And he did. And since then, you've seen some of the things, like Forbes reached out, and I'm like, what? Yeah. And they were like, hey, can we interview you? Like, it's Suicide Prevention Month. We know that you're a huge advocate. People say you've saved all these people. I ain't saved nobody. Yeah. But I've been there.
It's that humility that you must keep, sir. You know what? I love what you just described, because for a person that is starting somewhere and they don't know what to expect, okay, and we'll just put it out into the media and the this great abyss of the world that we know, right? And so when you start somewhere and you don't know what to expect, and you don't think of yourself as being important, because like you just said, I've been there. That imposter syndrome portion of it that you just kind of put a little bit of a taste in, I feel that all the time. And that is, does a person really care about what I have to say? Am I really is it important? Because in the end, I don't feel like I'm all that important. Yeah. I don't. And I don't feel like that my message is all that impactful at times. But then what I realize is it never was about me. It's not my message. I'm fair to share this in a way that is very, I'm humble through it.
Yeah.
And then when a person reaches out to me, and I've had this so many times, probably much like yourself, and they're like, man, that episode that you just put out, blah, 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 that really hit me. I've been going through these things. I needed to hear that message, or that person really inspired me to do whatever that next thing is. And they started trickling in, and it starts to become this like, wow, this is actually kind of like scaring me, because now I feel like there's an expectation I have to reach. And I always remind myself, I started the same way and I'll finish the same way in my life. And that is following the path that is not about me. And it's not about me. And so, sir, whenever I created the label, the brand, Motivate with Coach Camp, that I've said this on so many episodes. So you guys that follow me all the time, I want to say thank you and appreciate you listening to this part over and over. I labeled it Motivate with Coach Camp because the with was the most important part to me. It was never going to be about me. It was going to be about us, the community, the family, the people out there that I knew that the message could help impact. And that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing, sir. So I want to talk about, because now you've kind of built the idea that you've built the brand, you've built the person on your shirt, because you can.
Yeah.
Let's talk about because you can.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's really everything. What it all boils down to. So I feel like this is a great way to even, culminate the conversation. One thing I left out, which is a whole nother story for another day. That's all in itself is a whole podcast.
All right, we'll come back next week.
Yeah. I've been fortunate to be mentored by some greats, one of them being Les Brown. He's one of the greatest.
Yeah, he's one of the great ones.
I worked with him for a year one-on-one.
I ain't gonna lie to you. You kind of look a little bit like Les Brown, some of your facial features. I'm like, we got Les in the house, y'all.
Yeah, that's my papa. That's what he calls himself. But so being able to train with him, and then another guy by the name of Trent Shelton, former NFLer who is turned motivational speaker, and he really took me under his wing. He taught me a lot, and he trained me. I mean, just everything, how to lead from the heart, how to be a person of integrity. He told me before there was ever a crowd, before there was ever anybody who desired me, he started preparing me to move that way. And I was like, bro, anybody checking for me? He's like, listen, I know where you're going. You have to already move. And then so when that stuff started happening, I didn't lose myself because I was already prepared for it. Yeah. But one of the first things he asked me when working with me is like, so what's your rallying cry? I was like, what do you mean? He was like, this has to be a pillar of your brand. It has to be this one thing that you always say that people can cling to. And I was like, I don't have a thing like that. He was like, you don't understand how important that is. He said, you were an athlete. I said, yes, sir. He said, so you've been on a team? Yes, sir. So you know how important that is, right? I said, yes, sir. He said, you know how many people never been on a team? So
that's a great point.
You then with your brand create a team for people who've never been on a team to feel a part of, something they can take ownership in, something a message they can propel, and they get to rep a brand or a jersey to something they believe in. And I'm like, okay, that's good, but I don't know how to find that. So he's like, well, then you need to find it. I said, well, can you help me? Like, you helping me?
Yeah.
He said, no, I can't help you.
That had to be you.
He said, when you know, you'll know. And I was like, okay, that's helpful. Not really. So we meet a month later and we're talking and we're catching up. He said, hey, you got that thing yet? No, I don't got it yet. I said, well, can you help me? Nah, when you know, you'll know. Yeah. The next month we meet again. Hey, how's it going? They update. Hey, what about that thing? Man, I'm wrecking my brain, bro. I need help. Well, when you know, you'll know. That lasted for like a year. Wow. Like when you know, you'll know. I'm like, bro, I start getting a little frustrated. Can you just help me? Just tell me. Yes. And I'll never forget. It's actually, so in my new book, which is called Because You Can, so I'm glad you asked, I tell the story of exactly where it came from. I was in Will Rogers Park, which is right in the middle of Oklahoma City. I like to go there and make my content because there's like fountains and lakes and stuff. Nice. So I go to there and I live streamed this day. And at the time, before algorithms got as intense and they want you to pay for everything, you could actually get a solid crowd of people to listen. So there's like 300 people listening. And I'm like, this is cool. I'm just pouring my heart out like I always do. But I got overwhelmed by the comments because they were so negative. It was like, well, these people abused me. This person bullied me. These people said I'm no good. These people said I'm ugly. I don't even know what's the point of living. No one would care if I'm. And it was just like comment after comment. And I'm, still teaching, doing my thing. But after like 15 minutes of that, hundreds of people, I'm like, okay, all right. I say enough is enough. I said, listen to me and hear me clear. And then it happened. This thing just took over. And I'm telling people, like, I understand what you're saying. I, as a person who had people bring out the worst things and recognize the worst in me. But here's what I'm telling you. You are greater than anything they could ever say. Them and they. I'm tired of hearing about them and they. Them and they didn't give you your purpose, and them and they can't take it away. So you have to stop listening and giving so much credence to those people who were not your maker, and you got to believe in the good, the image of God that you were created in. So now I'm just blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, and if you were willing to do that and get out of your own way, you can go build a life that you actually love to live. And then I just yelled, I just yelled at the top of my lungs, because you can.
And it clicked.
Every hair in my body stood up.
Yeah. Come on.
And then I started crying. And then I said, all my life I was told what I could not do.
Yeah.
Until one day I decided I could.
That's right.
And so I did.
You stopped lowering your standards to other people's expectations and started elevating your own.
Exactly.
I love it.
And I'm here to wake the world up, because I had to go through my own wake-up call where I'm flying off a highway Dukes of Hazzard style to wake me up to realize life is precious and it's good even when it's not. On your worst day, there's still something to be grateful for.
That's right.
The worst day you will ever live is the day somebody else is praying for. And when you put things into that kind of perspective, it's
That's
like, I don't have nothing I can complain about. I could, but it would do no good.
Right.
So now my perspective is shifted, and now I can see the good in every day. So now I'm taking action, and then God is doing his thing. So I'm letting the world know that wake up. Stop being distracted by stuff that doesn't matter.
That's right.
Lock in on the purpose that if you're here, there's purpose. Whether you feel like you know what it is or not, it's here because you're here.
Yep.
And then go get it with intention. Move because you can.
That's the right word. You cannot actually truly grow unless you're reflective and intentional. And that's the truth. And that's in everything that you ever do. If you're not reflecting on where you've come from to where you are today and then moving forward with intention, there's very little growth with that. And then whenever you start to do that and you recognize what the bigger picture is, sir, like you have, that's how you have an impact in people's lives. And the only way that you have a true impact in people's lives is to have that revelation that you had where you realize your life is not about you as much as it is a bigger picture of helping other people. And that's where, and I say this I've said this on multiple episodes. I feel funny calling myself a motivational speaker because it feels cliche, it feels corny.
Yeah.
And really the truth is I'm a truth speaker. I am a motivator in the sense that I want to see the best in others. And that comes from the true coach inside me, right? Because the best coaches that I ever knew in my life were the ones that didn't care about the accolades or other people patting them on the back or telling them how great their team was. It was more about them seeing the growth of their players. And whenever you can see life through that spectrum, through that lens, you recognize the things you're going through is how it has a bigger intention. It is to help someone else with a problem down the road that you don't know about. You realize later that you were going through those things to prepare you for a moment you're going through right now that you would not have been ready for. And so all those things, the sleeping at the wheel to the because you cans, it's come together. And I see why people want to put you on the stage with them and why they want your message out there. And that's why whenever people saw your message and forgive me if I misquote this because I'm 52, almost 53, so my memory's not as great as it used to be. But it was something to the effect of you're back in Hernando, you want to connect, and you want to be a part of the positive community.
Exactly.
Nutshell summarizing
100%.
that. And when people saw that, they knew right then, synergy needs synergy. Iron sharpens iron, baby. You need folks in your corner that can absolutely encourage you, and hopefully in the long run, everybody is just you find that energy and you start to snuff out all that negative feedback that is out there, like you've talked about. So, sir, here it is. Talk about Asleep at the Wheel and your newest book that is now ready for pre-orders, you said, because you can.
Well, by the time they listen to this, it might be ready for order. So
okay.
It's literally dropping like tomorrow. So
it will be, yes. They're out now then.
Yeah, go get it.
This won't be ready by tomorrow. There's editing in process.
There you go get it. So yeah, Sleep at the Wheel I wanted to write a book for a long time. I didn't know how to write a book. I just knew that I wanted to tell some of those stories to give someone hope. And a publisher found me through my podcast that I didn't know if nobody would listen to.
Isn't it interesting how the podcast world works, man? You just put it out there. It's a vacuum. You're like, I don't know.
I have no idea.
And then people contact you from all over the place. You're like, okay, that's pretty awesome.
That's great. There you go. I have not done much locally, But I just got my first booking here in the Memphis metro area for a company to come in and do an employee appreciation. And they found me from, guess what? My podcast.
How about that?
So it's like, if you guys want to start a podcast, then you should probably look into doing the thing anyway. So Asleep at the Wheel, I'm like, it's all about helping people wake up. Like, I feel like so many people that I listen to are walking dead. Like,
I believe that.
AMC.
Yeah, they're going through the motions.
Every single day. Wake up, struggle, get out the door, go to a work you hate, come home, cook dinner, Netflix till you oblivion, and rinse and repeat. And it's just like, there's no meaning, there's no connection, there's no community, and so I'm like, but what if it didn't have to be that way? What if little intentional actions? You just got to wake up and get out of that mode. And then let me help point you in the way with some intentional actions, tactics, strategies, principles that can help you live a more meaningful, productive life. And that's by doing the things that I did, not what I'm telling you. Like, doing these things changed my entire life.
That's right.
And it can change theirs too. So that's what Sleep at the Wheel is, with a bunch of stories, colorful stories along the way, because I got lots of them from my life. And then because you can actually... Took me years in the making of this one. It took me years to really lock in and hone the message. It's because it's so important to me, but I'm basically giving people permission in all the areas of their life, right? So every chapter is something that you can do. And I'm getting to the root, like, forgive. You can heal. You can choose yourself. Creating proper boundaries, learning to love you, prioritize you, not just being a people pleaser your whole life. You can level up.
Yes.
You can bounce back. You can, I mean, so it's something very like you can. And then at the end, because you can. So I'm just like all these stories from my life and things that I've learned along. So it's like picks up kind of where this one left off. And it's like the stories that I've continued to live. Because in here, I hadn't gone and done anything, achieved much, and I hadn't gotten any accolades or awards. People have watched that happen, so now they'll get to hear the stories behind the stories that they've seen and celebrated on social media, but they'll get to kind of hear how some of that came about, and ultimately challenging them to embrace the message, because you can.
I love it, man. You know, you and I actually, I don't know if you know this or not, I think we're related. I think we may be brothers.
I believe it.
I think we have a great beard. Yes, we may be, because so much of what you just said absolutely is on point with so many things I have said in the past. And so those kind of minds, you know, they just meld together. It's funny because I don't have it on shirts or anything, but one of my closing comments is, if I can do it, so can you.
There you go.
And so it is the same thing, because you can. If I can do it, so can you. And it's so true. And you just have to take action and quiet those negative voices in your own head that tell you what you can't do. Stop putting limitations on what is possible. Take those first steps, have faith in God, and know that if it is meant to be, it will come to be. That's 100%, sir.
100%.
Yes, sir. So look, we're at the end here. How could people find your book if they wanted to order both books?
Yeah, so if you want to just have it to your house in a day or two, you can go right on Amazon and you can literally search Asleep at the Wheel, Marcus Black, because if you don't type Marcus Black, you're going to get a country music album, because they were really big. So Asleep at the Wheel, Marcus Black, or if you want Because You Can, Marcus Black, and both of those books will pop up on Amazon. If you would like a signed copy, and this is cool because I can actually deliver it to you, you can find me on any social media, Instagram preferably, because it's easiest to see the messages. Send me a message. I'd be happy to connect with you, and I can get I'm probably going to work out a local signing somewhere as well. I haven't figured that out yet.
I've got a person for you.
Okay.
We'll talk off air.
Okay,
I've got a person for you. Yeah, you'd be good.
I don't know if you have 2 minutes, but can I say one
I've got all the time you want, sir. This is for you.
Okay.
I wanted to get to Marcus Black, and I wanted my audience out here to feel the energy that I know that you bring to the table. So we have all the time that you need, sir. So please go ahead.
So to the person who is on the fence now, you heard this and you feel the jitters inside of you because you feel excited, you feel amplified and motivated, so to speak, but you don't know what to do with that. I'm going to give you 3 quick things.
Yes. And
then I'm going to land the plane with why those things, why you should do those things. The first thing that I tell everybody to do if you want to go do something great in the world is start where you are. Start where you are. There's 2 caveats to that. Start first. Start. Get started. Just do the thing, even if you don't know what it leads to. I started a podcast not thinking anyone was listening to me. In 6 months, I had listeners in 30 countries. We're up to like 71 now. Crazy. I could not have fathomed that would be a thing for me. Start where you are. You're not going to be able to start where Coach Camp is or even where I am. You can't start where someone else is. Stop comparing yourself because you don't know the things that he had to go through that I had to go through. You just heard some of the things I had to go through, and then be careful. I wish I could. Okay, then you might have to go through some of those valleys in order to get the equipping to be able to do that. But don't worry about where anyone else is. Start right where you are. And if you're willing to do that, then you'll be well on your way to living exactly the way that you want to live. Start where you are. Step number 2 is to use what you have.
That's good.
It's simple, but simple and easy are 2 different things. It's very simple, but not necessarily easy. Use what you have. For so long, I was like, well, I don't have cameras and I don't have okay, stop telling me what you don't have. What do you have? Use what you have. You got a heart, you got a camera, you got a phone. You want to start a podcast, you don't have microphones, you don't have the budget for this incredible facility and studios. Use your phone. Just put it out there. Just start where you are and use the resources available to you. So we spend so much time focusing on what we don't have. And I'm going to end with a story that correlates with that. But use what you have. And step number 3 is do all you can.
I love it.
Everything you can. Do all that you can. I always tell people, in the pursuit of your passions, you got to give everything but up.
That's good.
Like everything you got but up. That means I used to be a huge gamer. Nothing against gamers. I still like to play, but I can't play it like I used to because instead of giving 3 hours to that every night, I had to take some of that time and devote it to learning, to studying, to learn the principles that I teach now. I had to invest that time into me. I had to read. I had to develop myself. So what are the things you're doing? Maybe they're destructive habits. Maybe it is a vice or something that's really pulling you and taking your time away or altering your mind so you don't have the time to really give all of you. Then you got to remove the things that are blocking you from giving all of you so that you can go and then give everything that you got. But up, no matter how hard it gets, no matter how far behind you seem, no matter how much things don't seem to be going your way, do not give up ever. And then in due season, you'll reap the harvest if you don't give up. So,
amen.
I end with this story because I feel like it's kind of my life's cry. I'm glad this is a community of faith so I can share it freely. And everywhere I go, I'm not able to share it. But, there's all these miracles in the Bible. But there's my favorite one, particularly the first time Jesus fed the multitude. He fed thousands, north of 5 that we know.
Bread and fish, yep.
And the thing that strikes me so much about that story, I'm going to retell it for you. They come after Jesus has been marching down and doing his thing, touching people, healing people, creating hope. And Jesus is tired. He's about to go away, trying to anyway. But they're like, Jesus, hey, I don't know if you know, but all these people are following us. And Jesus, they're hungry. Jesus said, okay, what do you have? No, Jesus, you didn't hear us correctly. We know you're sleepy, but we said we didn't say we're hungry. We said they are hungry, like all of them. Just, okay, what do you have? They said, he don't get it. If we could work for a full year's wages and still wouldn't have enough money to feed all these people, we don't have nothing to feed all these people. Jesus said, what do you have? And if you read John's account, because it's retold several times, John's account, finally, only one person, there was a little boy who said, well, I got some lunch. And Jesus said, thank you.
Yes.
Somebody answered the question I asked you. I said, what do you have? And all you did was go to what we don't have. We don't have enough money. We don't have enough food. We don't have. And that's what we typically do. Jesus didn't ask you, what don't you have? He said, what do you have?
That's right.
Because if you are willing to put your gift on the table, God will multiply it.
That's right.
Your responsibility is not to figure out the X's and O's. Your job is to that's what I did. I said, okay, God, I promise I'm going to just keep putting it. I don't know where it goes. I don't know where I made that post here, home. I don't know where that goes. I don't know I'm just like, okay, God, I'm going to just put it out there. I'm going to put it on the table. You will multiply. That's not my job. My job is to show up with the gift. He will multiply. Your job show up with the gift every single day of your life and watch God multiply.
Amen.
Because you can.
Because you can, baby. Marcus Black, I got news for you, bro. Right now, Derek Michaud is so lucky I haven't broke stuff in the studio because I'm fired up. And anybody that's going to have me on the stage, just look out, because now I have a new rekindling. You know, sometimes there's a fire going and then somebody comes along and they have one of those little bitty things, they fan it a little bit. But what you just did, sir, was you brought in a circular industrial fan and turned that thing on full. Get it? Yeah. Y'all don't even know what's about to happen in this community. I got news for you. The gifts that we have, we are about to put them on the table, sir.
Yes,
I
sir.
love that message. Thank you so much. Look, I've got news for you, buddy. You and I see things in our future.
Yes,
I
sir.
see things in our future. We're going to light this town on fire. Then we're going to take it to the rest of the world.
Let's go.
Thank you, Marcus Black, my friend, my brother. I love you, man.
Yes,
Thank you
sir.
so much for coming in today. This was not an accident. This was absolutely intentional. I promise you that. So, guys, go check out his books. Check in on his page. Find out where he's going to be speaking. Go and check this guy out. He's going to be amazing. He is amazing. Thank you guys for tuning in each and every week. I'll tell you what, man, this thing right here, this is only growing because of you, and I love you guys so much. So I'm going to ask you right now, do that thing that I ask every week. Go to my website, motivatewithcoachcamp.com. Subscribe to my YouTube. And until next time, Coach Camp out.
I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no, I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me. Better believe in your mind, cause it's everything. You can mold, shape,